bigger than the law. We put for you the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury, Honorable MBADI, before the mirror. And we're doing this because the Committee on Finance, the Finance Committee, Finance and Budgeting Committee of the National Assembly, that is led by the Member of Parliament from Molo constituency as the chairperson, have since now communicated their distaste with the CS for failing to obey orders and summons to appear before the committee. They are saying that since he was appointed into office, Honorable MBADI has only appeared before the committee once. And when he appeared before that committee once, he promised the committee that he'd show up back after 3 months. He'd show up with a full report on whatever was being asked then on some registration of an East African bank. Now it's almost a year down the line, and the members of this committee have not seen anything of MBADI. Every summons that they send to this cabinet secretary to appear before them and make certain explanations on other things have also since been ignored. The members of this committee say that Mr. MBADI, who was also a member of the House, understands how the operations of the House work, really need to make their work easier. They say that they might all be in the broad-based government, that is the Member of Parliament for Molo statement, saying they might all be both in the broad-based government, but even as such, everyone needs to do their job. They are saying Mr. MBADI now, while doing his own job, has made it very difficult for the members of the House sitting in the Finance Committee to do their job. They're also saying that before getting into that particular position of CS Treasury by Mr. MBADI, previously every summons that were made to that particular department, the Treasury itself, were actually respected, and the PS for the National Treasury always obeyed all the summons of the National Assembly whenever they were made, and appeared before the National Assembly to defend whatever was going on within the National Treasury. Now they are saying that since MBADI walked into that office, it's not only been him who has now failed to appear before the committee, but even the PS, who was previously appearing very diligently, have also now since stopped appearing before that committee. So this particular statement makes the Member of Parliament for Molo believe that while he's being championed as an expert that was taken from the ODM party to make things work differently within the Treasury Department, it seems like he's the rotten tomato who has walked into the Treasury and has ensured that now things do not operate the way that they used to operate before positively. And you see, this has a very heavy weight to it for the members of the National Assembly, because they believe that when the Senate summons Mr. MBADI shows up and attends the Senate meetings. But when it is the National Assembly summoning Mr. MBADI refuses to show up, even if the National Assembly is the house from which he was picked to the position of the National Treasury. So they are from their communication, they're depicting an image of an individual that left the platform that actually made him for a period of so many years, and the day he stepped out of that platform, he never looked back again, save for one time. Now they are calling Mr. MBADI before this National Finance Committee for two reasons. The first reason being the unlawful occupation of the COI, the College of Insurance Land Kenya, which is actually alluded to be tied to Mr. MBADI. And so Mr. MBADI have since not made any appearance to clear his name or to clear the allegations that the members of this committee have when it comes to that LR piece of land that belongs to the College of Insurance Kenya. Another piece of land that is having the name of Mr. MBADI and the need for him to appear before the committee urgent is the sale of the Uchumi hypermarket land in Langata, which now also has a lot of intricacies to it, and they feel like Mr. MBADI is a person of interest that can shed light on what is going on in the sale of that particular Uchumi hypermarket land, which has since been a subject of insolvency for quite some time. But beyond that, Mulyungi, who is a Mwingi Central Member of Parliament, also wants to understand the state of taxes with the KRA taxes when it concerns the CDF, or the remnant of the CDF before the CDF was actually scrapped off. And there are a lot of other members who also would want to understand the nature of certain things, like when it comes to remuneration and when it comes to pension of certain officers. So the Finance Committee of the National House have a lot of questions to ask Mr. Mbadi. They have sent summons to this Mr. Mbadi, and Mr. Mbadi have been receiving these summons, but have since not responded to any of them, showing defiance to the authority, and according to them, making their work very difficult. So according to their own standing orders, they have like a recourse of what they can do when Mr. Mbadi fails to actually show up. And the recourses that are provided for in law that the National Assembly can explore when a CS fails to honor their summons include arrests. They can ask for the Cabinet Secretary to be arrested. In the Mr. Mbadi scenario, I don't know whether the members of the National Assembly really can push an arrest motion that will go through and will have Mr. Mbadi arrested and put behind bars. Now that he is not only the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury, but how he arrived at that particular position was as a result of the, agreement of meeting of minds of the current powerhouses that exist, and that some that existed and that some still exist. So we don't know whether arrest will be an option that the National Assembly will explore. But other than that, they also have another option. They can censor him, so that whenever it's Mr. Mbadi's issues or whatever, for whatever reason, is being censored by the Parliament and the National Assembly can bring a censor motion upon him, and that can actually sail through. They can bar him or banish him from now appearing before that committee for as long as he's a CS. I don't know whether that will be in the interest of the people of Kenya, or in the interest of the committee, or in the interest of Mbadi himself. So these options that they have in law are actually really toothless actions, other than the fact that they can censor him. And we hope to see whether Mr. Mbadi is now going to finally show up now that he's been threatened by these options, or whether he will keep his distance from the house that made him this long. Let's look at the effect of Mr. Mbadi's failing to actually give answers to these key things. You see, when a CS is actually put to question, to answer certain questions before the National House, sometimes the inquiry is not for the members of the committee of that National House alone. Actually, all the times, the inquiry is not for the members of that National Committee alone. For them, they just act as an umpire to bring the truth to the Kenyan people. So really, it shows that Mr. Mbadi is disregarding his primary employers, the Kenyan people, who actually took him to Parliament, from which he was picked by the President to become a Cabinet Secretary to serve the Kenyan people. So these questions like the COI land, the College of Insurance land, these questions like the Uchumi hypermarket land, these questions that now relate to taxes on former bursaries that were being offered, the questions of remunerations and pensions, they do not affect the committee only. Actually, you might find that no member of the committee gets affected by the decisions that have been made on these questions, but it's a lot of Kenyans people that get affected because of that. And so when a CS is being called to explain, the CS is being called to explain for the Kenyan people. And when the CS fails to come and explain, then the CS looks to be disregarding the Kenyan people. I don't know whether in the reshuffle of cabinet that they have been talking about, Mbadi will still be retained. And if he's retained, I don't know whether he will change his move so that he becomes more answerable to the Kenyan people. We really also don't know what is making Mr. Mbadi not submit a report that he promised to submit after 3 months, 1 year down the line, or what's making him not show up at all before the National Assembly. So until we hear from Mr. Mbadi's end of the story, why he has rejected the summons to appear before the National Assembly, we hold it that he is being really right now is being arrogant, and is actually being not the individual that the Kenyan people elected to represent them, but rather an individual that has joined the other wing that the Kenyan people detest so much. So yes, the members of the National Assembly's finance committee's work are being frustrated, even if the person frustrating their work keep showing up in the Senate meetings. That is the image of Mbadi in front of the people's mirror.